Welcome back to the Brand Gravity Show. I'm your host, psychology-driven brand strategist, Kaye Putnam, and this is the show where we explore the intersection between branding and psychology. Sometimes that looks like talking to visionary entrepreneurs about how they've built their brand in their own way. And today's conversation with Taryn Dickey was exactly that. She's a coach for ADHD entrepreneurs. I love following her on Instagram. I resonate very deeply with a lot of what she says. And I think you're going to love this conversation where we discuss how ADHD or other brain irregularities or situations can actually be a superpower. Taryn helps women entrepreneurs see their ADHD as a superpower instead of fighting against it. She's a former school counselor who's been mentoring and coaching women entrepreneurs for the last 8 years. She believes that neurodivergent brains are pretty freaking cool, and a lot of challenges ADHDers struggle with are just regular human kinds of struggles. But because we don't fit into a pretty little worker bee box, we get a bad rep. Her mission is to change the perception and help women embrace their ADHD as a gift, not a deficit. She uses her expertise with an MED in counseling to help her clients focus on their executive skills and provide tangible action-based steps and strategies so they can see long-lasting transformation in their lives. When she's not working, you can find her in a coffee shop drinking a vanilla latte with her 2 girls and husband, Chris. Let's get to the interview. Taryn, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for our conversation today. For those humans who don't know you yet, can you give us a quick introduction of who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hi, I am Taryn Dickey, and I am an ADHD coach. I started as a school counselor a long time ago and found myself home as an entrepreneur working online. And I just really love helping humans understand their ADHD, use it as a superpower. Not that it's all rainbows and sunshine, because that's not true, but I really do like helping people see how beautiful it can be and how it can serve them and how to work with it instead of against it.
I don't know the specific stats, but I've read several times that people in entrepreneurship tend to have a higher occurrence of things like ADHD. So I know that a lot of people are going to resonate and get so much out of this conversation. I was sharing with you before we started recording that I'm kind of nervous to have this conversation because I've done all of the self-diagnoses on the internet. I score really highly for a lot of the ADHD symptoms, but I've never actually gone to a doctor. So I can't say that I have it. I don't know that for sure, but I know that I'm going to personally get so much out of this conversation. So I'm really excited.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
And I want to be careful about that because I don't want to take that label for myself or to say for sure, because I am not a doctor. I don't know that for sure. But can you paint a picture a little bit about how business for somebody with ADHD is different than maybe somebody that's more neurotypical?
Sure, absolutely. I kind of think of it as everything that we're taught in business and in entrepreneurship, at least traditionally speaking. I won't say currently, because I do think that the tides are turning and there's a lot more inclusive business practices that are coming to the forefront, which I love. But the traditional modes of doing business is like this hustle 24/7. Team no sleep, sacrifice everything for the good of the business, which is really hard too, because if you're sacrificing sleep for any human, obviously that's hard. But for ADHD humans in particular, sleep is incredibly important. And so this idea of, hustle or sleep less, or you can sleep when you're dead, like that mentality, right? I mean, we laugh, but it's true. That mentality is just really hard. And then some other things are things like consistency. While routines are important for folks with ADHD, that is true. Being consistent can be very hard, especially if you don't have practice in that skill. And, another idea that people will say is like, you don't want it badly enough if you're not working hard, right? And for the vast majority of folks with ADHD, It's not that we won't, it's that we can't. And there is a difference. So many entrepreneurs with ADHD in particular want it bad. They want it so bad. But there are some things that are getting in the way, especially when we're hearing these messages that, just do the thing, just do the thing. Task initiation is a skill that often is very hard if you don't have that skill, if you don't practice. And doing the same thing every single day. We crave novelty. It's part of the reason that we decided to be entrepreneurs. And I think about even when I was a school counselor, part of the reason I chose school counseling is because every day is actually different. And I loved that. And I didn't know it at the time. I hadn't been diagnosed at that point. But looking back, I can see, oh, right. It was because it was something new every single day and it was exciting and it was fun. But this idea of, wake up at the same time, do the 10 morning routine, lists that you're supposed to go through because that famous person you follow on Instagram told you to do that, and then make sure that you don't touch your phone and you don't do this and you do that. And it's like, whoa, I cannot do the same thing every single day. My days cannot look exactly the same. I do have a morning routine. It consists of like 3 things. And if I don't do it, I don't beat myself up anymore. But I used to, so it's that kind of messaging. I hope I'm answering your question, but it's that kind of messaging that we can fall deep into as anybody. But with ADHD, it just kind of wears on us because we hear all these messages from the business world that are repetitive from when we were growing up, from our parents, from our teachers, from our employers, all of these things telling us to do all of these things that we don't have the skills or that are really challenging for us. And so then we start getting down on ourselves. Oh, maybe we're not cut out for this. And I just think a lot of people, a lot of creative, beautiful entrepreneurs, we will never get their brilliance because of this type of messaging. So I think for many of us, we just are like, we feel like we don't fit, but we are so creative and we're so innovative and we have these amazing ideas and we can problem solve like no other person in the entire universe. But we think because we have to do it one way, or we have to do it the way that neuroconforming. You mentioned neurotypical. I've been using the word neuroconforming for some time now, which I like.
I like it.
And so we try to do it that way, and it gets really hard. And we don't realize that we can do it our way. We can do it in a way that feels good. We can do it in a way that works with our brains. And it just can open up a new world. So again, not sure if I answered your question. I can go off on tangents. Hi, I have ADHD.
Oh my gosh, I resonate so deeply. I always like to say that I hate doing the business dishes. Like I hate. I get so bogged down if I have to do something every single day. Social media is really hard for that reason. And I've found ways to work around it. I'm going to ask you about your ways in a second. But before I do that, the other thing that I'm hearing come through so beautifully in that description is this idea that maybe we can set down like some of the shame or some of the guilt or some of the weight that people carry around because the typical business advice doesn't work for everybody. How do you work with your clients to give themselves permission or whatever that looks like? What does that process look like? I
love that you said, what does that process look like? Because it is a process. I think people start working with me because they want to be able to do the things that they think they're supposed to be doing, right? They want to be able to, how do I do the same thing every single day? How do I, get started on this project? How do I do the thing? And unfortunately, it's a reckoning for them that there's a little hoodwink there, not in a bad way, but, you come to me looking for one thing, but what you're really going to get is this unpacking of everything that you've been told, everything that you've learned your entire life that you thought was true about life, about business, about school, about you, about your personality, about the things that you're really good at, about the things that you struggle with. Like we're unpacking all of that, to your point, to remove that shame and guilt. A lot of times what we uncover, and I see this, I've done surveys, I've talked to so many people, and one of the phrases that we say about ourselves in kind of a self-deprecating, joking manner is, oh, I'm just lazy, right? And that comes up so much. And there's a lot of other different phrases like, oh, I'm such a space cadet, or I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, where did you first hear that? Whose voice is that? Because it's not your voice. It's become your voice, but it's not yours. And so it's a lot of rewiring and relearning what's actually true about you and about you with ADHD. You're not lazy. Like, that's not even true. And so it's recognizing all of these messages, all of the, and a lot of it intentionally or unintentionally, I'll say in most cases, there's ableism there involved. And so, we spend a lot of time looking at all of those messages and all of those things that's been said on repeat your entire life, right? And so now we're unpacking that, we're replacing it with what's actually true, and then we're building from there. Because I can teach you how to practice task initiation, and I can give you a little, chart, and you can do your little checklist. And by the way, when I say little, I'm not like belittling that. I think that's beautiful if you're at that place where you just really need to do the business dishes, right? Like if you just need to do those things, but I can do that. But I don't think that that's serving people, because what they really need is to rebuild and reconnect with their relationship with ADHD, because right now their relationship likely is not a good one.
100%. And another thing I'm hearing from you is that it seems like even with the truth that brains work differently than other brains, there are still skills that can be practiced and developed.
There's a number of skills. They're called executive function skills. I'm not sure if you have familiarity with that, but they usually fall into about 12 categories. There are different practitioners that might say that there's more or less. It doesn't matter. For ADHD folks, there's usually about 4 or 5 of those skills that we really do struggle with. And that's things like task initiation, which is just getting started. I'll talk to folks and they're like, oh God, it takes me like an hour to get started on something. But once I'm started, I'm like on a roll. But just like getting started. And these are not just business stuff. This isn't just, work related. This is like, making your breakfast. This is like, doing the dishes, doing laundry, cleaning your room, those types of things, like getting started. That once you do, you can do the thing. But it's like that initiating the task is super hard. Sustained attention. I think that kind of goes without saying, right? Like it's our focus. Sustained attention can be hard. Our time management often can be hard because we lose track of time. We think we have 15 minutes before we need to leave. Oh my goodness. Well, I can fit this, and this in. And now I'm running 5 minutes late. What just happened? And now like, that's a thing. And then things like planning and prioritizing can be a challenge too. So with having said all of that, there are very simple plans that can be developed and written with somebody who knows how to do this, with a coach, or just with somebody who's familiar with writing out, an executive function skills practice plan. But something for like task initiation, it basically is setting a timer, 9 a.m. every single day for 10 minutes that you're going to clean your kitchen, right? And so 9 a.m. goes off. Okay, I only have to do this for 10 minutes. I'm going to practice that. I clean as much as I can for 10 minutes, and then the timer goes off. And if the kitchen's still a mess, but you've cleaned like one little section, you've done your task, you've done the thing, you've started the task. So you can now move on and come back to it tomorrow. And so you do that. And if it has to be 5 minutes, that's great too. It doesn't really matter. You just don't want it to be super long, because then that becomes a problem in and of itself. But yeah, I mean, with anything, there's that, actual practice. And then, you can set yourself up for like a reward. If, I do this for 3 weeks, then I'm go get a mani-pedi or something, if that's like something that you love. And then the accountability piece. So whether it's a friend or a partner or a coach or someone, you work with, just checking in with them to say, yes, I did the thing, or no, I didn't do the thing. And what's the plan for, if I didn't do the thing, what's the plan for, how do we need to change the plan, or do we keep with the plan, or, all of that. But yeah, so like I said, the practicing the skills, it can be easy, but what ends up happening is if you haven't worked on that relationship with your ADHD and you miss a day, you're going to be beating yourself up. Their shame and guilt is going to come back up. It's going to, it potentially derails you. And then you're back at square one and you're like, I can't do this. I can't learn this skill. I can't practice, so I like to work with people to help them build that relationship back up, or, build a new relationship if that's the case, before we move into, let's work on those skills that might be challenging.
That makes a ton of sense. We're going to get right back to the interview. For the next few seconds, I'm going to share with you my Brand Clarity Collective and how it can help you grow your income and impact. If you're an entrepreneur who feels stuck or uncertain about what makes your brand stand out, then this is for you. The Brand Clarity Collective is a mastermind multiplied by mentorship. It's part online curriculum, part digital mastermind, and it's designed to help you get crystal clear brand clarity so you attract more perfect clients and grow your business. We have a thriving community of entrepreneurs who are all smart and driven. As a member of the collective, you get an all-access pass to all of my best branding courses, as well as access to our private community where you can connect with like-minded entrepreneurs and get feedback and support directly from me on our coaching calls. The Brand Clarity Collective is priced at just $297 per month, and after 6 months, you keep lifetime access to all of the courses. To learn more and to see if it's right for you, head over to my homepage at kayeputnam.com. There's a big section where you can click to learn more. I'll also include the link in the show notes wherever you are listening or watching. All right, let's get back. In what ways have you leveraged the beneficial aspects of ADHD in your business? Like how have you?
Whenever I'm like in a creative zone, that's when I do all of my stuff. And I know that sounds like very obvious, but I don't try to force things when I'm not feeling creative. And in the past, I have, and the stuff that comes out, it's fine, but let's be honest. But when I am in that creative mode, that's when my best stuff comes out, which means that I have to have a lot of patience, which is hard, but I have to have a lot of patience and trust and faith that this is how my brain works. I can't change that. That's how my brain works. I'm not going to try and change that. I actually enjoy that I get like super creative in spurts and random here and there. And sometimes it's like, late at night and I'll just stay up and do the thing, that's fine. But yeah, a lot of it is just been honoring how my brain works when it does the things that it does and letting it be. So that on the flip side of that, there are days where I don't want to do anything. And there are days where I've sat on the couch and watched 5 episodes of The Flight Attendant in a row and without guilt or shame. So that's different, right? Because in the past, before I really kind of embraced my ADHD and used it to my advantage, I would sit there the whole time and be like, yeah, but I'm supposed to be doing this, or I should be doing that. No, I am not shitting all over myself anymore. And I'm just allowing the ebbs and flows of my being, of who I am, because this is who I am. It's, I know people see it as a diagnosis, or some people refer to it as a disorder, or some people, will say it's a disability. And I'm not discounting any of that. However people view it, that's theirs. And I love that and I honor that. But, this is a part of me and I love that part of me. And so I've chosen to honor how it shows up. And there's been growing pains with that, but I'm definitely at a better place now where I allow it to flow. I allow it to be. And so that's when my most brilliant ideas show up, when I'm pausing, when I'm resting, when I'm in the resting room and not not supposed to be doing anything.
Amazing. Yeah. Have you had to structure your offers?
So this is like the opposite of what anybody will tell you, right? Yeah. I don't use a plan. And this might sound terrible. That's a lie. Once things come in and once I've said, okay, that sounds beautiful. I have the download has come in. I've got all of the ideas. I know how this is going to look. I know how this is going to go. Then of course I'll plan out, okay, the next month, this is what I'm going to be talking about. So that is true. But before that, like I couldn't tell you what's coming in 2023. I have no idea. I am going to allow the spirit of my business and my ADHD and my being and my soul to tell me where I'm going next. And, that might not make me the most money, or it might, who knows? I either could be true, but it's how it prevents me from being burnt out, wanting to quit, wanting to give up, never wanting to show my face ever again on the interwebs. It's just allowed me a lot of breathing room, which is something I think a lot of entrepreneurs are craving. Obviously, we love making money. We love being creative. We love serving others. We love helping people. And we also love play and fun and rest and relaxation. We love it all, right? Like the beauty of entrepreneurship. But a lot of times people aren't enjoying that fun stuff because they're just go, do, burnt out, recycle, keep going, like just lather, rinse, repeat.
Amazing. I follow you on Instagram and you to me seem really, really consistent.
That's hilarious.
How are you doing this?
I laugh. Well, I'm just going to let people think that, I guess. Truth be told, you're catching me at a very interesting time. So I don't think I've posted anything in like a week on Instagram, which is fine. Not concerned about it at all. But again, it ebbs and flows. Like there will be days where I record a bunch of reels. There will be days where that creation, I'll post 4 posts in a day because things just come out of me. And I used to hold on to that content, right? I used to bank it for another day, right? Like I'll save this really juicy thing for something else. But no, if I have an idea and I'm like on a roll, I post something, 5 minutes later, I might post something right after. And then an hour later, because juices are still flowing, I'm posting again. And so I might show up often, or it might look like I'm putting out a lot of things, but then there will go like 6 days that I won't post. But then I'll come back and here's what's coming up for me today. And so to go back to even what we were saying before, like how do you use your ADHD for your advantage in your business? And there are days where I'm like, oh, I'm feeling really pretty today. So I'm going to do my reels. And, I grab a few shirts and I change up my hair, whatever, or I don't. And I do the recordings and there they are. And those I will probably like use over the course of days, but like just static posts or whatever. If there's something I need to say, it's coming out. It's happening at that time. I'm not holding on to stuff because it's like what you just said before about energy. It's the energy behind it. If I'm fired up about something and I've got something that needs to come out and I hang on to it a week later, I already think something different. I already don't believe what I just said. Like I've already moved on. Like I'm not as passionate about that thought as I was last week. And so when I posted a week later, it's like, there's no energy behind that. I'm like, yeah, all right, post it. Okay. And the comments come in, you're like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, it's just like, it's a different energy. And so again, when it's coming and it's flowing, it's going.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I think that's such a cool realization too, because it's like, even if we don't ourselves feel consistent, just showing up over a period of time, it doesn't have to be like every single day. It can just be when you feel like it over a longer period of time. And the brand thing can still happen. Like people can still get to know you. People can enjoy your content, especially like we've been saying, when the energy is good behind it and it's not just like, oh, I'm posting because I need to. Do you have any guardrails, for lack of a better term, that you put around your business to help you be successful? I don't want to say like in spite of yourself, but like what helps you?
What a question.
Continue in business.
I often ask myself this question because I'm like, how do I keep it? This is what I think is so cool about being an entrepreneur and working for yourself is there's nobody saying you need to show up. There is nobody saying you have to do this, right? And I think that's wild that so many people we just show up, right? And for various reasons, you know, everybody has their own reasons for showing up, but it's like, why do I keep doing this? And, you know, to go back to some of the things that we love novelty. We love a challenge. We love figuring things out. We love solving problems. And so it's fun. And I guess until it's not fun, I'll just keep doing it. And so I guess to answer your question, that's my guardrail. Like that's the thing that helps me to keep moving is I have so much fun. You know, I think if I didn't like social media, obviously showing up on social media would be hard, but I like it. I think it's fun. I like trying things out. I know everybody's mad at Instagram right now. I don't know how to feel about it one way or the other, but I kind of like it. I like doing the reels. I like doing the videos, but that's me because I do like being on video. So yeah, I mean, I think it's because it is fun. I do have an assistant to help me with things that I know that I will not do. But like, you know, it would be good if they got done. And so, you know, you outsource the things that you don't want to do that somebody else can do better than you can do and make sure it gets done. And I guess I just am still having so much fun. And so I've been in business since 2013, not as an ADHD coach, but I've been an online entrepreneur since then. And it's just been fun to figure stuff out, to learn new things, to meet new people, to discover new ways of thinking, of being, of doing business. And I like throwing stuff up against the wall and seeing what sticks. I know people struggle with failure when things don't go the way that you want them to go, or you think you're going to have like this incredible launch and then like one person, signs up or no people sign up. I get that that's hard. I don't want to downplay that at all, but I like dissecting it. I like being like, okay, why do I think that didn't work? Or why do I think that did work? You know, what was it about that? Like that is fun for me. And so I just have fun. This sounds like people are like, oh, you just have fun. But like I'm having fun. So until I'm not having fun, I will continue to do something. Right.
Yep. Well, like you said, you also give yourself permission to rest. You're not just always like pushing, looking for that fun. You're kind of like waiting for the fun and then acting on it. This conversation is like, it's like a breath of fresh air. I am soaking up all of your genius because I need some more of you in my life. Yeah. I love the way that you look at business and the way that you're doing this. This is amazing. I have an incredible like saint of a human that's in my inbox because I am terrible with response times and I recognize that about myself. Somebody else helps me do that. So that outsourcing bit can be really useful for some of those tasks that just are really hard for some humans. Amazing. All right. So people in my orbit, for whatever reason, are voracious learners. We love researching. We love learning. We love doing new things. What is your personal favorite way to learn? I mean, I love to read. I will read all the time, all the books, anything that somebody mentions and I hear it a couple of times. I'm like, okay, I need to read that. I have a course buying problem. You know, some people, they have a bag problem or a shoe problem. Courses are my thing. So like, I love learning from other people. Yep. I love learning about ADHD. So I read books about that. I do trainings with that.
all of that is beautiful. And I do same. I love to learn. I love to research. I always have in the back of my mind that I want to go and get a PhD in social psychology. Like that's like always there. I would go to school. If somebody paid me, I would go to school for the rest of my life. Like I love it. And I find that how I learn best is then doing things in practice and actually doing things. And like I was saying before, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and dissecting things in that way. So yeah, learning by doing, but also just consuming all of the things without getting too distracted, because that's the conundrum.
Yes.
Right. And so I've had to pull back and tone it down a bit on all of the things that I want in the moment. I institute a 3-day rule now, and that has been very helpful. In 3 days, I open it back up and I'm like, why was I even looking at this? I don't even want this anymore. Why did I have this up? Which is very helpful. And I picked up this book. It's called Existential Kink. I don't know if you've heard of that. And I'm going to not remember their name. That's okay. I think it's Christine or something. Doesn't matter. And
I don't remember the author either.
What I love about this book is that it's really triggering me into thinking about why I struggle with in certain areas of my life, and this idea that I actually enjoy the struggle and that I enjoy. And this, there's a little kink there with, having a hard time in this area or this area. And this is like everyday kinds of struggles, like very that most people might struggle with. Yeah. But I'm doing the work, I'm doing the activities, and they're really good. One of the ones, it was the deepest fear inventory. And I had to say what this goal that I've been working toward, saying that I don't want it. I enjoy not having it. And here are the reasons why, because if I had it, here's my biggest fear. And so I'm listing 25 of these big fears. And just in those 25 big fears, I'm like, oh, this is what's preventing me. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize all of these things were there under the surface. And so I guess that this is like kind of like that self-coaching and working through, some of your own, blocks, if you want to call them that. But I'm currently in this and enjoying it. Yeah. But again, it's like triggering, like in a very good way.
Yeah. Fascinating. I love it. If you could plant knowledge or plant an idea in everybody's mind, what would you want everybody to know?
That is a good one. Here's the idea. Everything that you currently believe, everything, whether it's a spiritual belief, a religious belief, a belief about yourself, a belief about other person, is something that has simply been told to you or that you've told yourself repeatedly over time. So it's almost as if that belief is not true. And the good news about that is that you can change your belief to whatever you'd like it to be, so long as you say it to yourself or have it said to you repeatedly over time. That's a little seed.
And that idea, and if this is the first time that you've heard it, it's going to sound foreign, but you literally get to decide if your beliefs are still serving you, if there's still a positive influence on your life or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you get to decide. Wild. Amazing. Where can people go to get more of you, learn more?
The best place to find me is on Instagram. So it's at Taryn Dickey. Pretty simple. And I also have a quiz. If people are interested, you can learn about your ADHD superpower. Again, not all rainbows and sunshine. You're going to learn about your vulnerabilities too. But it's a really cool, fun, personality ADHD quiz to get to understand where your strengths really are and how to work with those things that are a little bit challenging for you. So you can go to superpoweradhd.com and you can take that quiz there. It takes 2 minutes and it's fun.
Perfect. 2 minutes we can do, right?
Exactly.
Amazing. I can't wait to take the quiz myself. I love quizzes. I love quizzes. Oh, thank you so much, Taryn, for sharing your genius, for sharing everything you know. This was such a fun conversation for me, and I so appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Head over to the show notes and you can get access to that quiz. Be sure to go and say hello to Taryn on Instagram. Let her know where you found her. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and leave us a review. It helps other smart entrepreneurs just like you find this show so that more incredible humans like you can get their genius out of their head and into the world to serve and impact the people that they are meant to serve. Thanks for being here. See you next time.